Welcome to the Gnarly Girls podcast.
What's up, gnarly beings?
This is a loose-lipped, unfiltered, raw-dogging, stripping down of culture.
No fucks, no panties. This is a labia of love.
We're your hosts, Tony Naj
and Serafina Supernova. And this is Gnarly Girls.
How's it going, Sarah?
What's up, Tony?
All right, welcome to Gnarly Girls. Today's episode is slightly disjointed, and we felt it was important to give you all context as to why it was disjointed.
Yeah, we didn't want to add to the traumatizing nature of this episode by being so just discombobulated. So we felt we owed you an intro and an outro, and also to our past and future selves.
So this was the deal, is that Sarah and I both have nutso-butso schedules, and we both have clients that we work with individually. Here I am. The way that I market, girl, is I just say things, and it's so intuitively marketing myself. I am a true marketing genius. So by saying the sentence, oh, we have clients, I just marketed the fact that we work one-on-one with people, both of us. I will be starting a class at Harvard where I teach my marketing retrospective. So we both have clients. We both teach at night, and scheduling pods is hard for us because of the clients and the teaching at night. And also we both are pretty neurodivergent when it comes to I have to do a certain amount of work before I can podcast on a usual day, because if I don't get into the admin email work at a certain time, I almost can't do it later. And then it's a day of things not getting done that stress me the F out.
Yeah. And we do sort of wake up and work, and then because we teach at night, we work until 10 p.m. So we're just working 14-hour days every day. So we're doing our best. We're doing our blessed.
So long story long, we had this standing podcast date. But when Sarah decided she was going to record at her studio, because this was the decision she made, and then, not to blame.
Well, you also had to record. Tony said, I need to record as late in the day as possible. I teach at 6, so I was well, I'm already going to be at the studio.
No, respect. I'm not blaming you yet. I'm about to blame you. Okay. Not her recording at the studio is totally cool. So we had this new plan. She gets to the studio, and her internet is chippity chopped. It's chopped internet, but she's convinced because it's worked before that it's not her.
Many times.
Again, it's another example, because I think I did a story about this where you can just convince yourself of a reality even though the data is telling you something different. So the data was telling us, your internet's chopped, girl. But she was no, it's worked before. So she just couldn't reorient to just move her ass to another space. So then there was rushing, and then I'm moving because I'm maybe I'm the problem, knowing deep down, I'm it's not my internet. It's not my internet. Long story long, we only had a half an hour to record.
Yes. And Zoom was also telling me it was Tony's internet. And then I was also aware that ancestrally there was some oh, they don't want us fucking talking about this.
Right, because this episode is about family is grape culture.
Yeah. It's so, yeah.
There was some interference. I'm not going to say there wasn't interference. And I'm not actually blaming Sarah. We're just having fun here. But we only had a half an hour to talk. And we were both rushing, knowing that we only had a half an hour. So there was this mania when talking about a very sensitive topic, which we're always talking about sensitive topics, but this was particularly demented. And P.S., I bullied Sarah, straight up bully her, because we had talked. I was girl, you gotta tell this story on the pod because I think it's a really important story to tell. Then Sarah's tap dancing around the story, and then I just kind of bully. I literally am are you gonna tell this story or what? Which is very grape culture of me. So then there's a great example of me grape culturing Sarah within this rush podcast, because there was just some points that we wanted to make. I wanted her to make, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I do, always, it's a constant meditation in figuring out, how do I share this in a way that is beneficial for the most people, also while protecting myself, and not protecting these abusers and predators, but protecting my own relational dynamic with an ecosystem of people. Because listen, there's a lot of shit that I could and will continue to talk. And I didn't even go through all the stories. We just shared a tip of the iceberg. Tony barely even shared anything about her own experience. So we're going to have an outro as well. So you'll
and I think, Sarah, sorry to interrupt you. I'm so sorry to be an interrupter. I have been an agent of chaos for days, and I know this about me, so I'm just throwing that out there.
So
the thing I wanted to say is that over time, what people come to understand, okay, so what everyone in my life has to understand, because I've been doing this for so long, is that like they are not safe and they are not sacred, in the sense that any moment I can fucking talk about you. And
it's becoming a blurred mirage as you're saying this.
This is, you should watch this video on the because a lot happens in the other one. Sarah's wearing like a pretty hot outfit.
Wearing a general thong.
I literally deep throat a carrot while Sarah's sharing trauma. Like, so many fucked up things happen. I don't stand by, and Sarah is now totally, what's it called? She's gone.
We're back.
So what am I trying to say? Oh, I think, Sarah, you're still kind of entering into a point of your life where people don't get that, like, oh, this bitch is gonna talk about me publicly. Because at this point in my life, everyone understands. This bitch is going to talk about me publicly because I've been doing this for so long. I've been blogging. I've been talking about motherfuckers publicly for so long that I almost think, a certain sense, like a force field has come around me where people are like, I don't want this bitch talking about me. Yeah. So I think, Sarah, you're still building the relationship with people where they will soon understand that nothing they do is sacred and everything they do is potential content.
That makes my Capricorn stellium squirt the spirit into this podcast. That's how I feel. I feel my spirit is squirting in response to that.
Sick dick. Okay, so welcome to this podcast. We're gonna play the unhinged grape culture podcast, talking about grape culture, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna analyze our past selves a little and give a little more context. Okay, here we go. Listen to the first part.
Yes, and also check the description for upcoming shows. We're going to talk about that at the end of the podcast.
Okay. What's up, Sarah?
What's up, Tony?
Today's episode, family is grape culture.
It's true. Arguably.
Provocative statement.
I dare it. Well, Tony's been making a lot of videos about how husbands are grape culture, who's been, and they haven't been enjoying that.
Well, we're purposely being controversial by making a blanketed statement. What we're really talking about is grape culture within a family system. I know for instance, have lots of grape culture within my personal family, but I'm just going to like throw out the concept of a creepy uncle just to start off hot. Because I have an uncle who's always been attracted to me, and it's been known. It's been known.
I witnessed it.
You witnessed it.
Mm-hmm. It was a vibe.
It was a vibe. And that uncle has been attracted to me for a very long time. For almost as long as I can remember. He has never done anything. He's never touched me. Nothing has ever happened. He's never even said anything inappropriate, to be clear.
So how do you...
Energy has always been there.
You just know from the energy. And like other people, they made comments about it?
It's undeniable. Yes.
I mean, I was one of the people who made a comment about it. I think I noticed before you said something. You weren't like, this is my creepy uncle.
Right.
Because he's not creepy.
Mm-mm.
He's a vibe.
Yeah, he's not. He is a vibe. That's the other thing that's strange. It's not like I don't even like this person. However, he has always been attracted to me.
Yeah. I mean, that is also the complicated thing about grape culture is like, I think there's this assumption that it's like the ogre uncle, but actually it's kind of giving Uncle Jesse.
Unfortunately, the uncle that is attracted to me is hot. It is an Uncle Jesse vibe.
Yeah, like my uncle who molested me is an Uncle Jesse archetype. Like he's attractive.
And why are we saying this out loud? I mean, great question. I think the reason why we're saying this out loud is that we all know of the classic grape culture within a family, like the predatory father, stepfather. What we're always trying to do, I think, in this pod is reference the nuance and reference just like because the obvious is the obvious, right? And that is something we not that it's not worth talking about or deconstructing, but like I had another cousin who was a second cousin who I still saw as a family member. So I actually moved in with this person and saw them as a family member and was like in a really vulnerable state, like not doing well, just really not thriving, living with this cousin. And because we were family, I just like never there was just like a lot of things that I did not question that I just kind of came in very naively believing I was humanized. And it took me a while to understand that this cousin was in love with me.
Yeah.
And again, like nothing explicit was said and there was never any like gropey, but I started to understand like over time with his behavior and like how things started playing out. I was like, what is going on? And then everyone was like, that dude's in love with you. And I was like, no, that's ridiculous. It's my and then, but even saying it was ridiculous, I felt it in my bones. So
no, and cousin fucking is not that far back within our human lineage,
There's nothing that upsets me. It upsets me to my core. Yeah. So, but I think the point, look, if someone's going to fuck their cousin.
Is the cousin hot?
Listen, I am not attracted to my family members. I would say that this was, again, not giving a cousin Jesse vibe. Sure. But I think, again, whether someone is attractive or not, it doesn't mean that you're asking for their sexual attention or their romantic attention. But I think the point is around humanization, right?
Yeah.
So when you have, and this is what guys I think have a really hard time comprehending, is that unwanted, unwarranted sexual energy does not feel good.
No.
So do you want to open up about a little bit about what's going on with you? And I am going to demonically take a couple bites of carrot. Wait, I just have to tell y'all the craziest thing that happened to me. So I have my daughter's period right now. This is not my period. It's her period. She pulled me into her orbit and then she just like energetically gave me this like period I wasn't planning on. I did not deserve. It was just like, I was like, okay, major shift of power dynamic. Usually I'm pulling her into my orbit. For her to just fucking throw me into her orbit, I'm like, hello, please be clear. I am the alpha in this situation, but her period dominated me. So I have my daughter's period and I wanted to jump in the shower before this pod because, my brain no working good. Yeah, my brain is not working good. I moved my body a little bit. Weird things are happening. So I'm like putting on I kind of forgot about the period and I was putting on oil after the shower to moisturize the skin. And I was like, oh, this like beautiful pinky red. And then I just started like massaging it into my legs, like not really asking myself, what is that? What is that dripping down your leg that you're just rubbing in with this oil? And then I was like, what? And then I went back online and it was like, that's period blood, my dude. But I didn't have enough time to jump back in the shower. So then I just like had to moisturize and like tell myself it was stem cells.
Yeah.
So I am like also, then I got like nauseously hungry. So I have to just like eat a couple carrots with almond butter. I'm going to put myself on mute while you tell your story.
I frankly feel like you're stealing my method, rubbing your own blood on your legs.
No, I did not want this.
I do. I'm jealous. I'm excited for you. I'm horrified.
I'm horrified. Because I'm not taking another shower, at least until tomorrow. It ain't happening.
No, so, I would like drink my period blood. I would like use it.
No, you would not. No, you have not.
Like, she's not trying to.
No, you have not.
But I would. I like would. If I was healed and I wasn't like carrying 18 autoimmune diseases, I would do a little sippy sip.
The only reason why you're not drinking your own period blood is because you're autoimmune diseases?
Yeah.
I call your bluff. I call your fucking bluff. I want your next feed. We're getting on this fucking pod. You're taking a sip.
I will do that. Actually, can we do that? Is that allowed?
If we do that, I will lose my shit and puke in my mouth. But like, respect people who do it. You know, I respect the hustle.
Well,
Right,
I got a GI map recently, so I have to shit in a cup first and get my GI tested and see where things are at, take some sups. But maybe I'll do it for like a special Witch Wound Part 3 edition episode in October. Hold me to
so
it.
upset. I'm already upset. All right, I'm gonna mute so I can have a couple bites of this almond butter carrot situation so I don't pass out. Okay.
I just have a thank you text drafted too, but I don't know what it's about. I just looked down on my phone and it just says thank you.
To me. Okay, tell your story. Here we go.
Okay, well, I mean, where to start? So there is obviously, if you've been listening to Gnarly Girls, quite a bit of grape culture within my own family. Like I said, sexually abused by the uncle. And in general, like I don't come from feminists. I don't come from academics. Like people are, they are dealing with their ancestral trauma in a raw dog real way and not working it out with a lot of self-analysis. Lots of mental health, lots of sickness, lots of stuff going on in my lineage. So that's that. Then there are the families that you interact with because you are married to someone or you are close friends with someone or you grow up and you're like in their family dynamics. And so there have been many families that I have engaged with that have become a part of my family where I really assumed that I was like seen as a daughter figure or even a sister figure, like a little sister or a daughter, like in relationship to men who are older than me. And there has just been like a continuous stripping back of how prevalent grape culture is within all of these relational dynamics. And what I find the most upsetting about grape culture within families and what will trigger my grapey uncle stuff quicker than anything is when I think that I'm in a relationship with a man within a family dynamic where he is supposed to be a father figure or an uncle figure or an older brother figure. And I'm assuming that I'm safe within that context, that I'm not going to be sexualized. And then I am. And within even the last year, there have been 2 instances where I was so surprised by 2 men who are now related to me, who really should have treated me with a lot more respect, who just like didn't and haven't. And the excuses that are made for that behavior are every single time either like because of the work that I'm doing as I sit in a pole studio, I'm asking for it, or they're so much better than the men who came before them. And those are the only 2 excuses or reasonings that I have been given when I have confronted this within these dynamics. And I think every time we think it's going to be...
I'm sorry. Let me interrupt you really quick, okay? First of all, I completely recognize that it was incredibly strange behavior to be deep-throating carrots like for that story, okay? And if you're listening,
There's also burlesque music playing in the background right now.
I can hear it all.
Okay, good.
There is a visual of me going up in the corner and deep-throating a carrot throughout Sarah's monologue, okay? Well, the reason why I'm interrupting you is you are like doing a little bit of a dippity dance.
I know, because I'm also trying to protect identity. I'm trying to
That's
protect...
fine.
Yeah.
But you can also like tell a story a little more clear and a little less vague because I want you to like tell the fucking story like a normal person.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like
This is the grape culture too.
yeah,
Where you try to be like, well, it could be someone who...
yeah, no, look, no one's gonna go investigate your family tree, okay? You can just fucking tell the story and you don't have to name names, obviously, but like, it's like, we don't need to dance around it. The other thing, again, assuming your comfortability and your consent, of course. But the other thing that I wanted to mention was that like the banana pants that you and I both were like kind of saying like, oh, like we should be treated like a daughter. We should be treated like like a niece or a brother. And like fathers are graping, stepfathers are graping, uncles are graping. We are being treated like daughters and sisters and whatever. Brothers are Grape City. Like that's the thing that's so wild is you think that that is a container of protection, right? It's like people are always like, that could be your mother. Think of your sister. Think of, it's like, oh, think of other women within your family structure that are like constantly being abused. That's the thing. You get what I'm saying? There is no safety. And even being treated like someone's daughter might be being graped because they're grapey with the daughter. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, so I'm not asking you to obviously blow anyone up, but just like tell the story a little more specifically in the sense that like an incident happened. You don't have to even describe the incident. The incident happened, and then you had a confrontation trying to explain, and like what was the rationale? Let's just get a little more specific.
Well, let me start with something that happened in the fall. So a relative, let's call him an uncle archetype. He is an uncle. An uncle who I've been close to for years, but also when he knew about my work when I started it at Duke and that my thesis work was about grape culture and I was talking about my grapes. And even when I was like 25 making this work or whatever, actually I was younger than that, like 23, he asked me, he was like, but were you like graped or were you graped? So he asked me that question a decade ago. So I already knew his orientation. And then his son, who is related to me, not by blood, but like still this uncle's son.
Lineage.
Yes. He subscribed to my OnlyFans. Okay. And I was like, oh, that is interesting. I quickly unsubscribed within like a week. I think, I don't know if he thought I was doing like PG OnlyFans, but like this dude is old enough to understand what OnlyFans is. Like he's in his early 20s. Like he's not like a minor, but still like a youngin' to me. And so I was like, that's interesting. And then I was posting a lot of things about Palestine at the time, whatever. And like this uncle character like aligns himself with Zionism. So not only was I posting stuff that was anti-Zionist, anti-fascist, but I was also sharing a lot more about my work and the OnlyFans and the sex work and whatever. And when I saw this man in the fall, he was drunk and approached me and I was sitting on a stool and he like came and he pressed his pubic bone and his genitals into me and he put his mouth like up into my face and my ear and he was like, you're making a lot of different kind of work right now, aren't you? And how do you have the time to make all of this work about all of these things? And, what gives you all the energy to make all of this work? And I was sort of like blacking out because I was like, is this uncle character pressing his penis up against me? And I am actively doing work about grape culture. And like, how the fuck is this still happening? And I like.
So let's pause for a second. Because again, there's this assumption, and it's an assumption I make too, that like, oh, because we're talking about grape, there is like a protection.
Right.
That like, oh, these bitches talk about grape. Why would we be grapey towards them?
Right.
And like, I will like literally sometimes post a Grape-O video and someone will then comment on the video something Grape City. Not even like, oh, I'm going to grape you, but like something like, you know what I mean? Like just so like about like, being hot or like, oh, your nipples are showing or something like, I don't know. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, just because someone treats you like a sister doesn't mean you're protected. And just because you're a bitch that talks about grape does not mean you're protected.
No. Or immune or just embodied in the moment of the assault happening and you fucking put them in their place. Because the irony of the person who recently verbally assaulted me, when I shared this story with him, he was like, you should have in that moment done XYZ. I was like, wow, that's so interesting. You must not understand trauma. And I explained parasympathetic response versus sympathetic response and how my main mode is to freeze and fawn. And so what I did in this instance, I was like, I mean, this is so on brand for me. I like pushed him off of me and I was like, well, when you worship the goddess and the divine feminine, turns out you have this unlimited life force energy that runs through you. And I just get so excited about watching the women and femmes in my life heal and become empowered. And that's its own form of energy that courses through my veins. So I just tried to kind of like distract and disorient. It was like less of a fawn, more of like a distract disorientation, which I recently realized I'm like very good at. I'm like very skilled at this. And then he was like, see, I don't even know what you just said. Here, the problem is that you're just so much smarter than me. And I was like, well, yeah, that actually is the problem. And then we said bye, and that was that. And then recently I was bending over, stretching out a hamstring that recently got pulled due to some feminine ancestral trauma on the left side of my body. And this other man in my family said, that makes me want to spank you.
Yeah.
And I
So again, stretching, super vulnerable.
Just a little. I mean, it was the left hamstring, but I was like, my hamstring hurts. I was not wearing this outfit. I was not wearing. I mean, can we just a moment? I was not wearing this outfit. I was wearing.
But honestly, girl, even if you were wearing that outfit, you're in your own home. You're in a vulnerable position, which is stretching a hammy.
Right.
You know, like when we're stretching, we're not like posing for the
Right.
male gaze. We're actually trying to release something.
No, I was like, ow.
And have like extreme focus. So to be in that vulnerable position of stretching in your own home, and for a family member to be like, I want to spank you, is alarming.
Alarming. And so I said, unfortunately for you, my primal response would kick in and I would donkey kick you out that window and you would probably die.
Said that in the
That's what I said in the moment. That was what I said in the moment. And then he laughed. But then we talked about it and, you know, he brought it up and he was like, you know, I'm a very introspective person and I hope you know that, like, if you needed to talk to me about something, because I think you could tell I was upset, that you would tell me. And I essentially explained to him, I was like, he's also seen Grape culture. He's known me since I was 17, 18. He knows that my uncle molested me. Like, we have a history. And I essentially said to him, I was like, when I am sexualized everywhere that I go. Like, I look like this and I am sexualized everywhere that I go. And he like laughed. Like, I kind of like broke his facade. I was like, yes, you must understand that, like, that's not a unique experience for me. When I have a relationship with someone and the agreement is that I'm not going to be sexualized and then I am, that re-triggers all of my trauma. And so if you don't want to be a part of that, essentially, like, be more mindful of what you're saying and what you're doing. Like, some thoughts are inside thoughts. I'm like, I don't even blame you for have whatever creepy ass thoughts you need to have and work out your own psychology. But, like, don't make it my business what you're working out still in consciousness. So, and it was handled, and that was that. And the energy did completely shift. But it is so much labor for people who experience this within their families to just, you can't be in rest and digest. You just can't. So then when you make this agreement that you're going to still engage with these people, you're also then making this agreement with your own nervous system. Like, oh, I actually need to be in a sympathetic state so that I can protect myself if I need to. And that is so much labor to walk around the world with. And I think a lot of survivors walk around the world like that all the time. So yeah, those are my stories.
I do hear the background of the studio, but we'll see how bad it is.
I've been doing like a little sound magic in the background, so I'll take out background noise.
Okay. So, I think the thing that we want to explore in the time that we have left is this idea that when we are with our families, we usually would like to operate under the assumption that we do not have to be sexualized, that we do not have to be in a mode of protection, that we do not have to be in a space where we're overthinking like how we're presenting our bodies. And yet so many of us within family dynamics are having to be in a default defensive mode around being sexualized or having unwanted sexual attention, and how within that context, it never feels safe within a family structure.
Yeah. And it's not always just men. Like also women in the family assaulting, of course, you know, in their own way and sexual abuse and all the things, but also women within families policing the way that younger women especially dress in front of their male partners. The amount of times I've been told to like not wear a shirt like this, put on a bra. I have heard put on a bra so many times because somehow if your nipples are showing, that is yet again an invitation. And did you hear, like, this is how much we have to pull out of the reptilian brain and the subconscious and unconscious around grape culture. All the time, I feel like on this podcast, I am like revealing my own programming where I'm like, and I wasn't even wearing this. Like, why did I even say that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so,
But I mean, I think to be real, you know, when you first got on the thing, I also noticed your boobs and your nips because they were out.
they're exciting.
But the thing is that they are out, and at the same
All the
time,
time.
but at the same time, I think the reality is that like a boob and a nip is not an inherently sexual organ. It has become so sexualized, right? And so when you as the looker of the boob and the nip can't get over the sexualization of the body, that's when it's going, because like otherwise it just kind of like melts away. You know what I mean? Like I think the program is you notice because not everyone has their tits showing through their shirt, and your brain takes in the data and you're like, tits. You know, like we don't always see tits because they're usually contained, and then you become, you look in their eyes and you move on. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think the policing of other women, because I know, like, you know, again, I have a 15-year-old daughter and she's a pretty like conservative girl, but like, you know, sometimes when her friends are less, you know, they're more like revealing or they're showing something, it's, or that, you know, they're 15, they're not wearing a bra, you are concerned for their well-being. I would never, of course, say anything because that's nutso, and I don't want to live in a world where they feel like their bodies have to be policed. Of course, of course, of course. However, you feel concern.
Yeah. Because of the context of the world that we live in. I mean, I've always been like this. It could be because I was sexually abused, I'm hypersexual. Like, that is the most uninteresting line to draw, I think, in terms of like the.
But you're not hypersexual. You're actually really not.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You're not. You've been married forever.
Yeah. Well, I guess when I say
your husband,
hypersexual, what I mean is like it's not even like related to anyone else or whatever. Like it's my own orientation to sexuality. Like I like think about sex a lot. I'm actively sexy a lot. I'm now doing sex work. Like I'm in kind of like a sex vortex, but it's not about other people. It's about my own relationship to sexuality.
What even is hypersexual?
Well, right. I mean, that term on its own is
problematic.
Right. It's problematic.
I think like the issue that we're kind of, you know, it's like, so a family gathering, you know, and you have young girl, no bra, you know, young girl, no bra, tits out. And like women either police her or they're like me, just like, okay, you know, good luck, girl. You know, like knowing that attention is going to her tits. I try to just like send her a protective light, you know, and just be like, do you, you know?
Yeah.
Do you. And I think there is like, I looked at this picture of me, I can almost like find it. It's of my graduation. My graduation in high school, and you know, I went to a preppy ass school and everyone was wearing very like preppy. Wait, let me just see if I can find it. Hold on.
P.S. I do wonder, I am about to teach and people might be coming in. So
we'll see what happens.
Warn us on the episode that might happen.
Okay, so if you're not watching this, you should go watch it. So I go to a preppy ass school, okay? I graduate high school. I'm wearing fucking this outfit, okay?
Iconic.
You can't fully see, but you can see those nips. My nips are out. it's short. The dress is short. There's no bra because it's like a halter. I also wore heels, which I never wear, just so I could like tower over this fucking principal bitch. So like, obviously, I had something to say on my high school graduation.
I resonate with this.
Everyone was upset. Do you know what
I love that so much.
And I was like, so there, I think the thing about when girls like go to family situations with tits out like this, or any situation tits out like this, it is I fucking dare you.
Yeah.
It is an activism to be like, oh, well, you be the pervert. You be the sicko. I'm not doing anything wrong. You're the fucking sicko.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it is an active protest. And that's where like even the part of me that's like wanting to protect her, to protect this like fictional girl who, has her tits out in front of a family. But I guess that fictional girl also was me because I would do this in family situations.
Yeah.
I would do this all over town.
And even when we don't, like I was wearing my like classic triple XL sweatshirt and extra large sweatpants when the spank comment happened, and I also had been bragging to my friends about how evolved I felt like this person was becoming and how he's trying and like he saw grape culture. And I was like actually really excited to interact with him. And then not only did that comment happen, but like kissing on my face and like rubbing of beard happened on the right side of my face. And then the comment was made 30, 45 minutes later. And I was like devastated. I was so disappointed, really. That's what it was. I was like, wow, like you can still be so bamboozled. And I think that's ultimately what I also want to speak on around this is like, it's so easy to internalize shame around I should have known better, or here we go again. And like, I know we intellectually know it's not our fault. But the body, I think, is still like evolutionarily catching up with that like intellectual awareness. And it like kind of knocked me out. Like I was already processing a lot. My grandmother just died, which has brought up all kinds of stuff in my own healing because she always protected my molesto uncle. Oh, here's another family thing. So my grandmother died. And so for the first time ever, my mom and my dad were like, well, when we have the funeral, like, how do you feel about your uncle being there? They've never actually acknowledged, I mean, other than not denying that it happened and being like, I'm not surprised and I'm so sorry, like, I will give them that credit. There's never been this effort to, like, protect me from his presence. And so that was also really striking where, like, now I can protect myself more than I ever have, but now there's protection being offered, like, that's its own mind fuck. So none of this is easy or linear and like there's no right way or wrong way to be inside of it. I think I tried to take advice from you and our past selves on Spicegate episode, which I forget even what episode. I think it was on Puss Problems or Grape Culture Spicegate happened, if I remember correctly. So if you listen to that, you'll understand what this is. But I was like, when I was confronted by the person who said the spanking comment, I just tried to be so diplomatic and clear in my response. And I was just like, look, I'm going to level with you. Like, I'm not going to not that it's a problem to get emotional, but like I could weep sob into the multiverse about this, but I could feel where I had a choice where I was like, I'm just going to give this to you so fucking straight.
Yeah.
So that there's no question and you actually have something to chew on and think about because you're telling me you're interested in self-reflecting so that maybe, just maybe, not only you don't interact with me like this again, but you don't carry this into all of your other fucking female relationships because there's so many women in this family. So yeah, the funeral thing was interesting. And I basically was like, well, I think my husband and my brother and my dad can all run physical interface for me. Like, I'm not going to keep someone from going to their parents' funeral. But it was noted. I was like, the first effort was ever made at 33. Cool.
But yeah, I mean, and I think the thing.
Oh, another thing, just one more thing. When I was processing my grandma's fucking death, the day that she died, I was watching home videos. Tony already knows this. And I was going through all the home videos. Somehow a clip I had never come across of my Grapo uncle filming me in the bathtub. My grandmother's like washing me and he is like whistling at me and like whistling at me like you would catcall someone on the street and like calling my name in this like very upsetting way. And I am like maybe just over a year in the bath. Like it's not even like toddlers and tiara vibes. Not that, again, look at me trying to justify. I'm like, I wasn't even a toddler. But I think people don't understand this about the Epstein files, where it's like, no, we're talking infant babies who literally cannot even wash themselves.
Yeah.
Like, still in diapers, infant child, helpless. So the desire to dominate it without consent, like over a helpless, completely helpless being, like that is like its whole own, that is just different than dominating, you know, women who are like our age. Like, it's just different. It's not it's not like worse or better. It's just a different.
It's worse. It's actually.
It is worse. It is worse.
Yeah, it's a lot worse. Yeah.
It's a lot worse. It's a lot worse. So
yeah, and I think like the thing that I mean, that's just like so tragic and so sad and so hard. And like, again, the fact that people are even asking you, like, is that okay that your abuser is at the funeral? The actual answer is no. It's actually not okay. And that shouldn't even be asked to you. That should be a decision that's made on your behalf.
Yeah. I'm like, actually, my executive functioning is tapped out around this. I will be giving the eulogy. Y'all do whatever the fuck you want.
I think the reality that like even like that it's put on you to have to be like, well, it's his
grape culture.
mother too. That is grape culture. And did you see how you were like, oh look, they're caring? You know,
it's like a drip of caring, and I'm like, you know,
yeah. But actually, the real answer is absolutely not. Should he be there in your presence?
Well, and we've talked,
and that is the consequence of his actions.
Yeah,
you know.
We've talked about desperation before, and it's like, why are they desperate? Why do they get in these like desperate situations? And it's like, it's dark. It's obviously darker than anyone wants to acknowledge. And I think that is why the Epstein files are now becoming like this pop culture term and phenomenon, and almost like a meme-ified. I mean, that is like a whole other episode I feel like we need to do, like checking in on the status of the Epstein files, because it's now meme-ified. Like, it is, it's a lot to hold for all of us. So
yeah. And I think the thing that, you know, because I know you got to go because you're going to teach. But in conclusion, I think the point is that in any family structure that's asking a victim of assault to be the one that has to hold the trauma and be in space with that person is grape culture. And it really is unfair to you if that's something that you've experienced or continue to experience, or people's expectation that you should just like get over it or move on or forgive or just whatever, because that means that every time you're within your family structure, you are on hyper awareness, major stress, cortisol overload. And it's fundamentally unfair that people put you in that situation. Yeah. Because you're like in a family and it just make it easier for everyone else and just stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I was kind of basically told by this spanking guy that I should, with the penis assaults, like pubic bone to pubic bone with.
Oh, but you never really said that his response was, I'm better than what I.
Oh, right. Yes. In the conversation, in an abstract way at the beginning, I did. Because also, y'all, figuring out how to talk about this shit publicly, I just said to Tony this morning, I was like, I feel like sometimes I'm sharing way too much personal data on Gnarly Girls and I need to just go more analysis. And she was like, no, and I will help you. So thank you, Tony. And also, yes, like when we were in this actual conversation, and I was confronting him, and he confronted me, and I was like, I'm so tired. I'd been teaching for hours, but I was like, this is my moment, God. Okay, I received this assignment. So I articulated it as I said, and then he was like, well, you have to understand, you know, the women during my generation, I was watching my uncles grab a handful of ass. So like, I'm so much like that verbatim. That is what he said. I couldn't even make that up. I'm like, a handful of ass. Honestly, this sounds kind of exciting. If it was consensual, I'm like, I would love someone to handful my ass. But not in that way. Not from an uncle, not from a relative. No more. I've had enough uncle ass grabs. But yeah, he was like, I am better.
And I think,
what do you want from me?
What do you want from me? I'm better. And when you're comparing, it's like when you are comparing yourself to a standard that is so subpar. That is so subpar. And now retrospectively, I think what's happened is the Epstein files have put the standard in the fucking basement. well, I didn't eat and grape a baby, so I can't be that bad. And I think maybe that is part of the psyop, is to create a standard that is just absolutely so horrendous that, like, well, I just graped a 30-year-old, you know? And she was sleeping. She was my wife, you know?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So families are grape culture.
All right, I know you got to teach.
I have to go.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Love y'all.
And you listen to the podcast. All right, you got some vibes going. Let's just close it out a little bit. Maybe there is some more things we wanted to say. So, Sarah, where did you feel emotionally constipated, as if something else needed to come out?
Well, I want to talk about like sibling dynamics. I think that is a very interesting. So maybe let's start there. Maybe like sibling/cousin dynamics.
Okay, because the other thing we have to remember is Sam Altman, the Chat GPT guy, he graped his sister for years and years and years. And my graper graped his sister. And this is the thing, is that when he told me that happened, like, he didn't say, I graped my sister. He was like, my sister and I had, to tell this story is like so upsetting. But he did tell me, and I was like so viscerally shocked by this that I like truly filed it under never think about this again, because I was so upset by this. But I do think the truth is that like abuse of siblings happens a lot because you have access to the sibling, right? And I think a lot of abuse happens with cousins, and it's kind of seen as like quote unquote experimentation. Because I did used to dry hump my cousin. I forgot about that, but she was a girl.
Yeah. And honestly, that's hot.
No, me and my cousin just fucking dry hump the shit out of each other. And the thing is, yo, this would happen at my grandmother's house. And my grandmother was like so Catholic. She was very Catholic. And she kind of knew what we were up to. And she was like not supportive of our lesbian incestuous affair. And like, so she would always like tell us, like, you got to keep the door open when you girls play. And we would be like, wait, you want to like watch us dry hump?
How old were you?
Just kidding. This went on for a while. This went on for years.
Wow.
I don't know. Me and my cousin used to go to this day, when we talk about it, we're uncomfortable. Yeah.
I mean, it's iconic.
We didn't kiss. Like, there was no we weren't actually kissing cousins. But we would just like, we would pretend we would put our hands. Why the fuck am I saying?
No, I'm like, please tell me.
The things that are, I'm telling you, I am an agent of chaos at this here now moment. But like, I do want to respect. I want to like go back to, the thing is, I'm in a good mood right now. Like, we're in a mood, and so we're like talking about horrendous things, but like there's so much like disconnect, okay? Because Sam Altman did abuse his sister, and there's nothing good about that, right? And that's happening. But I think what I'm trying to say, why did I start talking about this, is my cousin and I had access to each other. And I think this is why a lot of abuse can happen, is because you have access to this person's body. And especially if that person is younger, okay? So, okay, I should shut my fucking mouth.
I mean, I'm a little upset you left us like a lavender labia on the methodology, but that's...
Oh, yeah, no, now I feel like I have to tell you.
Yeah.
We would take our hands and cover our mouths with our hands and then like pretend to kiss with the hands over the mouth. We would like, go like that. We would go like that. And then we were like, it was like a lot of, I'm not going to say there wasn't writhing involved. There was no climaxing. None of us, we didn't climax, which I am actually surprised by, because this is my cousin who also she is also a very quick to orgasm person.
This doesn't feel grapey though. I'm like, should we?
No, it wasn't. This is why I'm upset that I'm bringing all these things in together. My cousin and I were two consensual, young, incestuous lesbians. Okay?
Yeah.
We were very into it. It was like we were very happy to see each other. Like, I really fucked it. I almost think we have to like re-record this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to like hope for the complexity of our audience to just like hold these things in like so many tentacles, because like I stirred us in so many emotional directions. Okay, so we have
my shirt's coming off involuntarily.
Dude, this podcast is fucked. This whole podcast is like so fucked up. But I think it's because like life is fucked up. The only reason why I started talking about my cousin who I would dry hump was because you said the word cousin and it suddenly was reminding me of this.
No, this is a healing. This
Okay.
is a healing.
But however, a lot of cousin assault happens, and I know cousin assault happens, you know? And I talked earlier in the pod about my cousin who was older than me.
Yeah.
10 years older, by the way.
Yeah.
But we were also adults.
Yeah. It's interesting for it to be like within your own family and then like a family that you marry into and like the dynamics of like biological cousins versus like married into family. And it's all interesting and it's definitely not fair play or fair game, but it's like it feels like it's so embedded. Like incest feels so embedded in the fabric of everything.
I mean, honestly, that is so true. And like, we have, okay, we have Game of Thrones, right?
Right.
Which is also like a big incest thing, and like incest around this concept of like blood preservation, right? So you have like the monarchy marrying cousins, marrying siblings, inbreeding, right? So like inbreeding happens, like, I think a lot of abuse happens, like, in extreme poverty and extreme wealth, like, a lot of similar abuse. Like, extreme poverty, you will have more neglect and more incest. Extreme wealth, you will also have more neglect and more incest.
Yeah. It's like the middle sort of like range of that. It feels like you're having to be too focused on like fucking getting your bread and your milk in order to. I mean, that's actually not true though, because I feel like I don't come from either. Like maybe leaning a little bit more towards the poverty and like it's still in my family. But yes, I do think there's like something about that and like that like creates more spaciousness, whether it's like you're so desperate you have nothing or you have everything and you're bored. Like it just like creates the perfect like petri dish for the prevalence of the incest.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of the extreme financial circumstances is a breeding ground for abuse of children.
Yeah. Well, so there's something else I wrote a note about. I was like, I mean, and we've talked about this before, potentially on the podcast. We've definitely talked about this as just people, like white people calling each other brother and sister within sort of like new age hippie spaces or just like, you know, whatever the fuck is happening on the planet right now. Like I think that is really interesting because like in a lot of those spaces it's like I'm thinking like Burning Man, I'm thinking festival culture, I'm thinking about a white woman festival that I went to where all these white women are calling each other sister. It was not a white women festival, but it was a festival full of white women appropriating indigenous culture.
Excuse me, let me pause you. Not one part of when you said white woman festival blinked. I was like,
no, I know. And I actually
know exactly what you mean, though. Yes.
I would love to drag this specific festival that I'm speaking of into the depths of hell, and I still have plans to do that. That's why people really need to like be on their toes around me. My only issue right now is I don't have the time to make the amount of work that I want to be making specifically about all these things, but just give me 10 years and your name will be on my Epstein list, okay? So this festival was like a festival. I think we've actually talked about this, so I won't go into it that deep, but it was put on by a bunch of white women. I was invited to teach and perform at this festival. Not to say that there wasn't like a little bit of diversity, but I'm going to say this was like a 90% like whitey tighty situation. And there was something within that dynamic that I really witnessed of like white women referring to each other as sister in order to grape them energetically, emotionally of their resources and sort of guilt and manipulate them into participating in community in a way that they perceive as symbiotic and how we're here to heal the earth, how we're here to heal the earth together in our relationship to our bodies and the earth and our blood. But actually it was just like incredibly extractive and like full of grape culture and lots of slut shaming, lots of whorephobia. Show me a festival full of white women that isn't also ridden with internalized misogyny. and I will show you my pussy. Maybe not. Maybe for $100. Anyways, I also feel like within within festival culture where there's men and women, I've witnessed men calling me sister in order to be fucking rapey towards me and extractive towards me and put me in a psychological place where I think they're not going to be a fucking creepo Home Depot, and then they are creepo Home Depot.
Yeah, that makes sense because again, like we were talking about, like you want to think a familial structure would protect you from sexualization, where in fact what we keep kind of unpacking is that the familial structure is actually laden with sexualization.
Creepo Home Depot.
Have we talked about on this podcast picking up children yet, or is it something that you and I just talked about privately?
I don't think we've talked about picking up children.
Okay, so if we've talked about this before, please forgive me, but like I had a big kind of thought, and I think it was with you, but it might have been, oh, you're blowing your nose. I think it might have been with you, but maybe not, about how with family members, especially when you're young, the way you are handled can really do a number on the imprint of your relationship to touch and being held, right? Because when you have a toddler, so I raised a child, I was picking up other people's kids. My kid would have her friends over. She had a cousin who was like 4 months different. I was handling kids a lot at that time, handling my own kid. So when you pick up a toddler, you hold a kid, you literally like cup them at the crotch a lot and pick them the fuck up. There is like this like crotch cupping, and like just like the ergonomics of how you hold a child, they have a diaper, which is good. So then you have padding betwixt, but like there is so much like root chakra activation when you are a toddler, when you are a baby, of different adults having their hand in your root chakra, right? So my intention always has never been pedo with a child ever in my life, you know? So I think that like within my crotch cupping, of which, you know, with children that were not mine, I don't cup a crotch.
Yeah.
Don't cup a crotch if that kid is not mine.
No, give me that little armpits. Give me that rib cage.
Give me the armpits, and then underneath the buttocks, and then more like in the crook of the arm.
Yeah.
Not cupping crotches of children that are not mine. Again, I have picked up a lot of freaking kids, held a lot of kids, not going to cup their crotch. But even my own kid, you could, if anything is fucking weird, hasn't been dealt with, strange thoughts, intrusive thoughts, whatever the fuck, that is being passed to these toddlers, to these babies, to whatever. So, I mean, like, I think the amount that, and like, you know, like your kid goes to preschool, they are being held in that root chakra. I know I'm going on and on about this, but I don't think it's fucking casual. And again, nothing might happen. Nothing might quote unquote happen, but the energy behind being manhandled and picked up by certain adults can leave a very grapey imprint around contact and around touch. If that touch is like not, if the energy behind that touch, even sitting on someone's lap, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like some laps are comforting, some laps are not comforting. And like having someone else's child on your lap, like how can that be like a comforting, safe space for them? That is your energy that creates the comforting, safe space for another person's child to sit on your lap. You know, and I remember, and then I'm going to stop talking. I want to hear your thoughts on this, but like, my kid had a friend, her friend's name, she was like Amelia there, Dilly and Amelia, right? They were so close. And I remember, I think her dad, my husband, was like tickling Adelia. Something happened, all right? And then she was like, tickle Amelia, you know? And he was like, absolutely not. Like, I don't remember. He was like, oh, no, Amelia, and you go, you know? Like, he handled it the best he could. But as a man, you have to be extra fucking careful, you know? Like, he wouldn't even pick up another person's child, I don't think. You know, they would have to be so harmed, and he would probably pick them up with tongs, you know?
Dude,
I think he would genuinely use tongs and gloves before picking up another human's child. That's, you know, like, that's where people are at, because you have to be so concerned with your energy and just like not wanting to violate. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. And like, also, let me just speak on Tony's husband because I love him so much. And recently, when like the comment was made to me about the spanking from the family member, I immediately put on a sweatshirt that is connected to Tony's husband's band because that is how much anti-grape culture energy this man embodies. No, I know. It could make me literally weep. Like, and honestly, like I am sexualized. This is what I said when we recorded it yesterday too, to the man who confronted me when he made that comment. And, you know, I've known him for like 13 years. Like he watched me grow up, whatever. So, it was so interesting to be in that dynamic with him and then to like compare his energy to what I know is possible. And I said to him, like, and I think I said this in our last thing, so sorry for repeating myself for our audience, but I was like, it's not a unique experience for me to be sexualized. That happens everywhere that I go. Like, just take one look at me and you will understand. And I also am actively like instigating and challenging as an expression of my feminism. Like, I don't wear red lipstick randomly. If you look up the history of red lipstick and how it's not only been a symbol of feminism and connected to like women's movements and like suffragettes, it's also been used like through ancient Greece and all these other civilizations as like a marker of like who is a whore and a prostitute versus who is a respectable woman. So I'm aware that I am instigating, like in the way that we do on this podcast and the way that Tony was like, husbands or grape culture, is to like poke at these things. Like there are ways that I'm aware I show up and I know what the fuck I'm doing. But and also it is possible to be a beautiful woman who is choosing to be in her body and be in a relationship with a man who does not fucking sexualize you and does not act like he wants to fuck you. Like, the amount of times I've been in my see-through fucking nightgown in Tony's fucking kitchen and I have just like witnessed her husband, and I'm not even like aware because I just like woke up from the dream realm, and I've witnessed her husband just be like, just so not give that energy, has been really, really powerful. So like there are a couple men in the world that I have witnessed. And when I say a couple, I mean like in my hand, I could hold them like little fairies that I'm like, okay, this is possible. But, and also it takes so much self-awareness. And I think that's fundamentally what's missing. It goes all the way back to our very first episode that we just were posting clips about on Instagram, where the narcissism connected to the grape culture of it all is so deep. And we've said a million times before, in order to like reconcile with all of the narcissism that we are all programmed with, it does require a deep self-awareness and a deep self-realization.
Yeah, and like just to kind of talk about comfortability in a person's house, right? And like I think that like being at my house, like how do I put this? It's almost like Sarah was so used to being sexualized that it was normalized. And with my husband and her, like, I'm not, I said, Sarah, you can't wear your little shorts at my house. Sarah truly wears whatever the fuck she wants. And I see it. He looks at her face.
Yeah.
He's not looking at her body. He's not looking at her face. He's actually not noticing. And maybe if his eye does notice, he goes right to her face and just looks in her eyes and her humanity and isn't looking at her tits or isn't looking at her butt.
A Scorpio too. So no,
Scorpio, just not doing it. And it's like, he's protective of you.
Yeah.
Like, even when we like talk about things, when we get deep, when we talk about her when she's not around, his instinct is genuinely protective, looking out for her. Is she okay? Yada yada. Like,
and has he ever referred to me as a sister? No. A friend. We are friends. Don't fucking call women your sisters. It's so weird. Also, it's racist. Stop it, white people. Like, I'm talking to white people. Stop doing that. Everyone else do whatever you want. White people, you gotta stop with the sister brother shit. It's disgusting.
It's not okay. But I do think this friend thing, he genuinely sees you as a human friend. And so when he like texts you happy birthday, it's not like, what is this? What does the subtext of this mean? He'll be like, I love you. You're great. Happy birthday. You know, it's so genuine. And this is why like I know what is possible. I think like that is the thing is that when we hold men to like and this goes back to the point where the person who assaulted you was like, well, I've seen really bad stuff and I'm better than that. When we keep the standard low, we actually are we're oppressing men. When we keep the standard high, we're exalting them. So I have a very high standard of how my husband can be, should be, and like as a result of my high standard, guess what? He fucking lives up to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I have a lot of respect and I see a lot of like, no, 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 you're better than that shit. And then he becomes better than it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like even the awareness of like how to interact with children and all of that is so deep because I shared, when I was watching these clips of my grandmother trying to process her fucking death, this video of my uncle came up whistling at me in the bathtub as a baby. And the only reason I even started to uncover my sexual abuse memories was because I was doing EMDR. And then recently I was actually, one of my husband's cousins studies memory in the brain and has like a PhD and has been doing this forever. And his sort of theory is that we can't actually ever get rid of our memories. Like even if we aren't in touch with them, like the memory like lives and it can be resurfaced. And so like I did have memories as of like EMDR flashbacks of like, being as young as being in diapers, like being completely unavailable to like care for myself by myself. And then seeing this clip, it's like you can really gaslight yourself over and over and over and over again. I made it up. It didn't happen. I'm crazy. I want attention. Like even the most like I am immersed in this work. I deeply understand what's happening in the body. I fucking get it from all of the angles, and still I have that own internalized voice. Then you see a clip like that and you're like, well, the only reason I hadn't seen that yet is because I don't think I was ready. And now like that is like, it's like when people are like, well, show me the proof from the Epstein files. It's like, what more fucking proof do you need?
Yeah.
What more fucking proof do you need? And I just want to pin what you said on the episode we recorded, on the other part of this episode, where you said the Epstein files have put the standard in the basement.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is a numbing that's happening? Like, what do you think? What do you think?
Like I feel very unclear of like what the psyop is. Like, why is this information coming out? Is it about like desensitization? Is it about normalization? Was it kind of like a fluke situation that happened? But again, it's like when Diddy came out, I mean, I said this in the Come Inside of Me podcast, like creating the timeline that we talk about grape culture because I've been fucking yapping about it for so long. But when the Diddy thing came out, I was like, I literally made a video. I'm like, if you think Diddy is bad, wait till they get to the politicians. Wait till they get to the people that really needed to be protected in terms of bribes, where people like real decisions are being made. I made that fucking video 2 years ago, however long it was, a long time ago. And this coming out, I was like, oh, I never, 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 never thought it would come out. I thought I was just like saying something because that was never going to happen. I truly never believed that they would talk about what the politicians are doing. And I think there is like this collective horror heartbreak for victims of assault when you see people on the highest level and on the like the largest stage, and there just is no consequence. And that kind of like annihilation.
It does feel personal. It feels personal, even if we're not like, because we also talk about this. I'm just thinking about this because I was just editing clips out of the first episode of Grape Culture, which you should go back and listen to if you haven't. It's like it's like the consciousness aspect of it is so important. And like the powers that have been deeply not only understand human psychology and the body, but also like the spiritual nature of all of it. And all of that is constantly being used against us. So even in the way that grape culture has to have us, makes us hustle and earn and prove and work ourselves to the bone every single fucking day, where like now what $5 used to be is like $50. Like it really does feel like inflation is like that. We don't even have the fucking time to process this shit. And like the unprocessing of it and it just getting stuck in the body is going to create dis-ease. And I do think like ultimately, above all, they want us sick. They want us sick and unprocessed and stuck and just like circle jerking around our fear and our anxiety, which we really can't clear unless we take the time to move the energy. Like it just has to happen. Good plug for Tony's somatic practices.
Yeah. Okay, so long story long, we should probably, because now this is we should end. So we have shows.
Portland. We are coming to the Tomorrow Theater in Portland. We are so excited. We really need your help. This is the biggest theater we've played in for Grape Culture. So please, like, even if you're not in Portland, if you know people in Portland, if you know people on the West Coast, we need you to help us fill these seats. Send it to your people. Please come. Get on a plane. It's worth it. You could come see the show on the 23rd of May, and then the next day, join us for a somatic movement workshop, 2 freaking hours with us in the room live, processing the energy at Yoga on Yam Hill, also in Portland. So we will be in Portland that weekend. Tony then has a tour that she's doing around Oregon, a couple of different locations. Do you want to share those?
Oh, Eugene and Williams, I'm doing stand-up right after that for the next weekend.
Great. So we'll link both of those in the description. And then in June 28th, which is a Sunday, we're doing Grape Culture at the Always Lounge in New Orleans, which is also an amazing venue. So you can catch us down south.
Yeah, and like someone just, for instance, like if like messaged me from New Orleans, like such a sweetie pea. They were like, oh, do you want me to put flyers out for you? Like, send me the flyer and I'll put flyer out. And I was like, fucking sick dick. And I was like, send me your Venmo. And they didn't even send that to me. They're just going to like help put out flyers. So stuff like that, like really is helpful. And if you want us to come do Grape Culture in your place, email us and let us know and we can figure it out, because we like to tour it. We just like it is helpful when we have boots on the ground and people are like, try this venue and try this, and like they have an email list and yada yada, because we are just 2 people who work until 10 every night.
Yeah, and we don't like stay in hotels. That's not our vibe.
We'll be staying with you.
We'll be staying with you. We'll be sleeping on your couch, and we're great house guests. And like, if you want to hang out, this is a great way to hang out, because Tony and I don't really socialize. Like, we work and then the socializing happens in between the working. So if you're like, I want to hang, then you help us work and we'll hang out with you.
Sick. All right, I love you, Sarah, and I love you, everyone who's listening.
Peace. I just like loving you and your nervous systems, and also to say that on Gnarly People Patreon, it is a very small crew right now, but what we're doing as we're sort of building and figuring out what that space is, I'm dropping practices from my personal Patreon, the Honey Pot, my witch school and business school that I run. I'm dropping Tony's practices from her personal Patreon that she does. So if you want to do like somatic shakes, if you want some meditations, I'm pretty much giving everyone everything on the $5 tier. So just join for $5, and I'm just like sending stuff out as we build it and figure out what that space is. So if you need practice and you want it low cost, Gnarly People Patreon. So that's that.
Bye, friends.
Bada bada swing. Bye, y'all.